I have the next Fireside Chat session, and I'll call upon the moderator first, 𝐵𝐺𝐵𝐼𝐻 CTO, Metro Brands Limited. Please put your hands together and welcome him on stage. Thank you for being here, and let's call upon the panelists as well. Geetika Goel, Head of Technology, Hero Wired. A round of applause. Keep it loud and clear. Thank you. Ninad Raje, Director and CIO, Health Assure. Thank you for being here and all the best. And moderator, 𝐵𝐺𝐵𝐼𝐻 sir, please take it over. Thank you.
Hello, am I audible? All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon and a warm welcome to all the audience. Thank you for staying awake to reach our session, right? And today we have battle-hardened industry leaders and practitioners with us to discuss a very simple but evolved topic in terms of transforming businesses digitally, right? Well, all of us hear the word digital transformation, but it's time to get into the nitty-gritties of what it really takes and what it really means to organizations. So we have Ninad, who's from the healthcare side of industry, and Geetika from the edtech side. I'll start with you, Geetika. Let's get straight off the block.
Hi.
You know, what does digital transformation look like in your industry? And more importantly, how has the adoption of digital transformation shaped up in the last 3 years?
Right. So, see, edtech, right? We are talking about education. So, if we are talking about 20 years back, nobody even thought that there was any technology involved when it came to education. But then came MOOCs. All of us would have heard of Coursera, and it suddenly became very popular, and people started understanding that you could learn. I mean, just because you are able to learn through books, you don't have to always go to the classrooms. You could start learning online, and it did take the world by the storm. But it seemed like a burst, and it started to slowly, started to die down. And then lot of edtech companies came up. I have been in the industry of edtech from 2014, and we saw that while there was a burst and then it started to come down, but then it came to an even pace, right? So technology based education has been there for many years now, but last 3 years it went to a different scale. Like, even kids, like the nursery, KG, first standard, 12th standard, like K-12 were doing learning through technology. So, of course, and edtechs, they are cloud native. So, for us, we live, breathe, our business is on technology. That's how it is.
Thanks, Geetika. Ninad, you're the director and CIO at Health Assure, right? So, how does digital transformation look in your industry, and more importantly, the last 3 years has changed for all of us? How has it changed for your industry?
Well, thank you so much. I think it's a very, very valid question, and thanks, Geetika, for your kind words as well. I completely echo your sentiments as far as the digital technology is concerned. Now, moving from edtech to healthcare space. Now, healthcare space, as we know, is pretty booming nowadays. Everybody talks about technology, everybody talks about edtech, everybody talks about healthcare now. Now, healthcare is such a space wherein almost like 3 years back, the pre-COVID era, if I may, it was all about the physical touch and feel. The clinicians, the physicians come to you, they want to kind of get the feel, the pulse, and they want to kind of see what you are made up of. If there is really a problem in your sort of the biological element, right? And that is something which physicians and clinicians were always sort of looking forward to. Cut to the era of COVID, that everything stopped, right? Because nobody used to kind of go anywhere. They are not willing to travel. They are not able to travel. So how does one physician and clinician kind of come into picture and still make sure that they are, first of all, looking at the patients, and also at the same time diagnosing it, because they're sitting somewhere else remotely. So that's where the digital sort of transformation journey truly started for the healthcare space, if I may. Because, and also the other thing is the clinicians and physicians were so used to an old age sort of adage of making sure that they're physically involved in this, it was extremely difficult for them to sort of move on and cross over to this particular phase where it is digital. And it was a very, very sort of trying time for the entire healthcare space. So having said that, first of all, adoption of even basic things like the iPad or the laptops or even the mobile phone for diagnosing something, some patient, it was Greek and Latin for the clinicians and physicians. Believe me, I'm saying this because I'm still involved like 365 days in this, right from morning till evening. So the first and foremost aspect is how do we ensure that the physicians and clinicians are adopting the digital tools? And that was a challenge, it was a major challenge. And however, over the past 3 years, I think adoption has been greatly achieved. And now, today, if you look at it, the physicians and clinicians themselves are coming up to us saying, you know what next are you providing us? From a technology standpoint, will you be able to provide AI? Will you be able to provide ML? Will you provide help us in automation? And that is the real change that I have seen in this entire space. And cut to the other side, which is consumers as well. Now, consumers are also looking forward to saying that why do I have to travel to the physicians or clinicians' place? I am sitting at home and I should be able to kind of converse with the doctors and the physicians and everything is done. And I get, say for example, prescriptions on hand digitally. And then I forward this prescription to the pharmacy and lo and behold, the entire meds and the drugs are delivered to my place. So that's the change that we've been talking about, right? So that's the very basic change that I wanted to bring to the table.
Can I just add something here? So I think a lot of invention of there are these devices, right? There is a digital thermometer, there is a BP checking machine which you can use at home, the sugar checking machine. So patients we are not patients who have to be admitted in the hospital, but at home you can easily check all your basic parameters when you are having the video call with your doctor. So I think that has also helped in the adoption from the doctor's side and the patient side.
Certainly, and just to add on to that I think you have hit the nail on the right spot, because when you talk about the consumers, checking their readings with the tools and the devices that they have, however, they still have to talk to the physicians and clinicians for getting the prescriptions and for drugs and all. Yes, they can see the readings as such, but how do they know they're healthy, non-healthy? So they have to converse with the clinicians and physicians. That's where the video technology comes into picture. That's where the remote telehealth or telemedicine comes into picture. So that is something truly is a digital transformation.
That's interesting. In fact, Ninad, you started with the need for edtech for the healthcare professionals.
Absolutely.
Right? So the second thing, as professionals, we have lethargy to move away from work from home. We want to continue digitally, right? But on the edtech side, at least I see that with my children, all of them were bursting to get back to school. So, I mean, anyone can solve that for me, please let me know. Right?
I think we should let them go.
So, Geetika, when one talks of digital transformation, in an organization, it involves a few things: business processes, the culture, there's the people aspect, and the customer experience, right? These are the three main things that we look at transforming. Now, what different strategies should one adopt in each of these areas to ensure success?
Absolutely. This is such a critical point, right? So I'll start with an anecdote. Okay, so in one of my previous companies where we were working, very small startup kind of a company, and we have these sales teams, right, who are making so you all would have been receiving calls for insurance, Lelo, and you are eligible for a loan, blah, blah, blah. So basically there is somebody who's sitting in a call center and making a call to you based on whatever information they have about you, right? So for this small company also, this setup was there, and now these guys, they used to get this information about all the people they need to call on Google Sheets, right? And they are saying that, yeah, we are digitized, right? So we have done the digital transformation. So then we said that, boss, this is just a soft copy of your ledger. That's not called digitization. That's not a digital transformation. You need to actually get into a CRM, right? Whether you build it in-house or take it a SaaS-based from outside, whatever you take, but you actually need, the digital transformation is something else. It is not just putting up my notes on a computer, okay? So, but the resistance to do that was so high, because on a Google Sheet, I get all my information right in front of me, but if you are bringing in a CRM, there is a process you are trying to make me follow. And then you are going to measure how many minutes I have made the talk. You are going to, ask me for disposition. Automatically, there will be dispositions that are changing. So it is a complete retraining of the brain that's needed. And it is not a trivial affair when people have to switch from their regular working style to a digitally transformed working style. There is a whole lot of training required for the internal people, as well as their expectation, as well as the expectation of the management to, even the management has to come to terms with the fact that there are people who are involved in this transformation. They will take time to understand what it means to use the technology and reap the benefits of it. So, that's on the internal side. When it comes to customers, of course, we are all customers or victims of such calls. So, I'm sticking to just this example, but in any kind of digital transformation projects we take up, that's a given, that there is a whole mind shift that needs to happen at many, many ends.
Thanks, Gitika. Over to you with the same question, Ninad.
Sure. In fact, I think these three elements, as far as the digital technology is concerned, is pretty critical. Now, the most critical element in this of the three is, according to me, in my opinion, the people factor. Whether it's employees, whether it's the customers, it's absolutely the people factor, and it's here. It's all about mindset, and it's all about attitude. We need to kind of have that complete shift in the mindset, in looking forward to and adopting the new age sort of culture. The new age culture is all digital. The new age culture is all about consumerization, and in fact, hyper-localization, as they say nowadays. And it's quick, and it's so fast. It is so fast-paced that you blink and the deliveries happen through Swiggy to Blinkit or to whoever it is, right, on Amazon and Zomato and all. So having said that, earlier it was the Domino's era, which was 30 minutes. Then later on it was Zomato and Swiggy, which was like 15 minutes, and now it is Blinkit, which is like within 5 minutes. So can you imagine the kind of fast pace that culture is? And it's all about because of the employees, because of your the people. Now, somebody has rightly said that you take care of your employees and the employees will take care of you. So this is from the business standpoint. So, and this is so true, because in every organization, at least that I have kind of come across, if the culture of the organization is good, if the culture of the organization is all about advance, and its advancement is not about technology, but really it's a business point of view. Technology obviously is the driver, the enabler, the supporter, and all those aspects. But really, it's the people that is of course they are absolutely the most critical element in driving the entire digital transformation journey. Obviously, I mean the seniors and so on and so forth, the so-called planners, the visualizers, they obviously kind of have to come into picture. But it's unless and until it's not appropriately planned by the people, and the people don't adopt it, it's going to be a big problem. And so I think, in my opinion, people is the most important element in this. Technology keeps happening, planning keeps happening, no doubt about it. I mean, today we are in the world of AR, VR, AI, ML, everything. The buzzwords are probably the reality. But if you don't have the appropriate people at the right place and they are not early adopters, I don't think so that's going to work at all.
Absolutely, Ninad. So while technology will continue to change, we as users, we as professionals, we tend to have a much bigger inertia to change, and love to stay in our comfort factors. That being said, I mean, a penny for your thought, audience, as employees, right, or professionals, do we treat our customers the same way we expect to be treated as customers, right? So, I mean, I'm not too sure where we stand on that. Now, Ninad, you talked about agility. You gave the example of 30 minutes being a normal at one point of time, and the new normal is 5 to 10 minutes, right? So, what role does cloud play as a key enabler in digital transformation and business transformation in general, and help a business become more intelligent, secure, and connected?
Very, very valid question. Cloud. I mean, people probably used to think and even think that cloud is just a buzzword, but it is actually not. In my opinion, it's certainly not. It has really helped the entire business enterprises. Whether it is small, whether it is medium, whether it is large, it certainly has helped in multiple ways and methods as well. First and foremost, the age-old sort of infra, on-prem infra, is probably prehistoric now. Everything is on cloud, whether it's BFSI sector. I'm sure Dr. Suresh is here, is quite enriched in this experience. So even banking sector, which is supposed to be the most secure, and there are a lot of compliance and all, they are all moved onto the cloud, right? In fact, people are talking about, what are you talking about in terms of on-prem? It's not going to work out, right? It's all cloud. Yes, there are certain enterprises which probably would be having a hybrid sort of mechanism, something on the cloud, which is probably public domain, and something is really, really formula oriented, which is compliance oriented. Probably you can still have it on-prem, but then you still have a hybrid cloud mechanism. But having said that, cloud definitely has helped the business, to quicken their activities, to make sure that stability, scalability comes into picture. In the earlier days, even if we had to kind of scale probably from 100,000 user on a parallel basis to a 200,000, we used to kind of think probably, infrastructure, we have to buy these tools, we have to buy these devices, we have to buy this memory, the compute speed, and so on and so forth. Then came on HCI, and then HCI kind of converted itself into cloud. Now, cloud obviously is the biggest, one of the most important element and benefit is you can switch on and switch off anytime. It's all subscription based, it's PaaS, it's SaaS, it's IaaS, right? So it is within your control. And if your company is looking at, especially the CFOs, they are talking about, now I'm getting the visibility, how much should I pay? Earlier it was, I used to kind of make capital investments. Probably ROI used to come for 3 years, 5 years. But now, as a CFO, I would think I have a visibility here. I know exactly what I have to provision for, and that's the other benefit of it. Apart from that, customer experience is really rich nowadays because customers are expecting quick-paced sort of service delivery. Otherwise they move on to something else. And cloud has definitely enabled that journey. The other thing is maintaining the entire infrastructure was a big challenge. You used to have mammoth technology teams, and now everything is kind of shifted to the cloud environment. All you have to do is make sure that you have contracts appropriately laid down by the cloud service provider, and you're through. Maintenance is available, management is available. So I think cloud has really, really helped the entire, I wouldn't say even India, but the entire world here.
I would add on to that, the way we are able to see so many startups it's simply because, they are able to start their work on cloud. They don't have to provision for these on-prem, machines and everything. There is no capex involved. When it comes to tech-based startups, cloud is their, first and foremost prerequisite.
So people call it cloud native nowadays, mobile native, cloud native, and those are something which is startups are living and breathing it.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, gone are the days when you start saying which data center, whether it should be a shared rack space, how much racks do I need, how much power, should I negotiate for the power or should I leave it on a use basis, all those things. And even if you look at an update, you want to take a downtime, you have to first update the BIOS, the hypervisor, and keep going up the layers till you reach everywhere. Those days are gone, and truly, we live in an agile age. What I hear from both of you is that cloud really enables us to focus on the business problems rather than just keeping the lights running, and truly that is transformative. Now, one of you all mentioned that when you're doing transforming a business digitally, the technology is there, but are the people really geared up to that change. Now, when we talk of technology also, one realizes that there's this whole concept of legacy technology, right, or legacy IT that is there for a lot of organizations, which one has to also carry along as one moves on a complete cloud-embarked digital transformation journey. Now, how should an organization actually restructure the tech and business talent, right, while taking up this transformation? Geetika.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely, such a valid question for companies which have been there for before the cloud, or who are the late adopters of cloud, right? So and especially we all believe in this, right? That if something is working, don't touch it, don't break it, right? But the fact is that companies do need to think and look long term. So one thing is a given, that if they continue to think that way, that okay, this thing has been working for me for the past 50 years, so why should I touch it? It's not going to last you another 50 years. It is going to break, and then some other more agile player will come in the market, which will have a much nimble application, and they will take over your business. So it is in the interest of the companies to start with that we need to adopt ourselves to the digital transformation. That is one. And to your question, that how do you divide? So in technology, we have these buzzwords now that, mobile first. So I think businesses now need to start thinking tech first. That first, let me think, can my business benefit from technology? And what is it that's happening in the world on this technically? Can I adopt it? Is it too expensive? Should I invest in research to see if this can be brought down to a reasonable price? Because expense is such a big factor that we need to consider. So if there is some, even, so I remember genome sequencing, right? Around 20 years back, it was something that could not be even thought of for end consumers, right? It had to be done only in research labs. For one of them, it will take a year, right? And now there are companies here in India who will help you do your genome sequencing and give you your DNA, some results and all that within a month, right? So for a year-long research-based, only supercomputer-based something, it's now consumer-based within 1 month. So obviously there are leaps and bounds of research happening. So whatever domain we are thinking, the business teams need to start thinking, what is the technology? How do I make use of that? If you're asking for what should be the split of business and technology, that's a very subjective kind of a question. But for cloud native companies like ours, around 20 to 30% of the company size is typically tech these days.
Ninad, your views, sir.
Absolutely, thank you so much. I think I echo with you, because I would rather say, not only 25, because most of the organizations now, they have a very lean sort of business staff, and they have a massive tech setup. So there are two aspects where business is currently investing. One is tech, and the other is distribution. That's the sales and distribution, because there are two elements that are working the most in terms of taking or catapulting the business to a next sort of level. Now, I was fascinated to the booth that you have right opposite here, builder.ai, right? Now, who would have known that there is an AI which is coming up? Who would have known that there is artificial intelligence and so on and so forth? Nobody had heard about it. But today we are squarely sitting in an age, in an era that you have the AI coming up and so on and so forth. It's all about technology as such, right? And also it's an amalgamation. It's not only about technology, but also about very rich customer experience. Now, you can have great tech, but if you don't have the appropriate customer experience, and the customer experience could be anything. It could be servicing, it could be your mobile app, that the way it is sort of designed and so on and so forth, or probably it is the way it is servicing. So it's a combination of both, with its tech and the customer experience. And then of course, if you have these two elements which are appropriately balanced, there is no way you cannot do business. You have to do business, and you will do good business in that case. And that's where, the organizations like, I'm not shy of taking names. AI and Apple and Google, they are very great. Why they are very good is because of this. They have tech, they have the customer experience, they know the pulse of the consumer. It's all about consumers nowadays. So I would rather want to say that it's not business only. It is tech-enabled, consumer-enabled business. And that's another reason why nowadays, it was unheard of earlier that the tech leadership, they find themselves to be a part of the boardroom discussions, right? Earlier it wasn't the case at all. So that is a sea change that we are looking at. And of course, with the entire advent of this, there is obviously this entire information security and that element also comes into picture. So we need to be careful about that as well. But that's exactly how businesses are nowadays.
Towards the security, I would just like to add one thing, that see, initially when cloud came, right, so there were a lot of apprehensions on, it's one data center, it's the same machine where my workload is going to be shared with maybe my competitor's workload, I am not even aware of that, right? So again, the thing is that the good news is that in the cloud technology, there was enough research that went into ensuring that there is proper segregation of data, right? That there is security layer built into it, that there will not be any data seepage across, or nobody is going to be able to steal your data. It's as safe or as unsafe as your on-premise data center.
Yeah. So one thing that resonating with me also, and something that is very odd that I observed, is you all mentioned mobile first, right? All of us know that if you build a website, 90+% of your traffic will be on the mobile, right? So you call your agency, the first version they show you will be the desktop version, although you clearly said you want the mobile version, and then you start using the mobile version, then you say ye nahi chalta hai, wo nahi chalta hai. Once again, the way the mind works is always strange. Moving on to the next area of discussion, right? We talked about people, we talked about technology being available and transforming digitally. Today, any digital transformation, is an ecosystem play which involves multiple technologies and partners. Right? Now, selecting the right one in each of these cases makes a difference between life and death as far as a particular initiative is concerned, right? So, Ninad, I'll start with you over here. What are the best practices for scouting the right technology and partner in a business transformation or digital business transformation?
All right. So, this particular question is asked in almost all the discussions in the business and the enterprises, right? And everybody has, in that boardroom, everybody has their own thoughts. The reason behind this is the financial expert would say, what, I want to only look at cost, how inexpensive it is. The technology guy will say, I would want to ensure that you get the best of the best of the best technology. The distribution sales folks would say, I want a tool or such kind of a technology which will allow me to sell fast. So that's another, so different points of view. However, if we have to really look at it, there's only one aspect, rather one of the most important aspect is, don't even think about all these things, right? Only think about what the consumer is needing, requiring, what is his or her wants, and how do we satisfy those wants in the least amount of time. If you have the answers for this, there will be no problems, no issues for you to pinpoint or select the most appropriate or most suitable tool or a software or an application for your organization. This is the first and foremost, because it answers itself, even if it's a bit expensive. And if we are able to sort of showcase the entire benefits from the consumer standpoint, and of course you relate it to the KPIs and KRAs on, of course, the sales pitches and so on and so forth, you will be able to convince anybody and everybody, whether it's the CEO, whether it's the board of directors, whether it's the investors, whether it's the shareholders, without doubt. So you show those benefits and you should be able to arrive at those aspects. That's the reason why people talk about CBAs and so on and so forth, right? And CBAs have become very, very, even if it's elaborate, but it's still straightforward. So these benefit analysis really help. But however, I think it is all about consumers. If you are able to crack that for your organization, for your enterprise, you have the answer for it.
Awesome.
Yeah. So actually, so Ninad, what you said totally makes sense for large companies. So, but then there are smaller companies, right? Startups who are just like, let's say 6 months into the game, and they are yet to, they have to identify who are the suitable vendors or partners for them, right? So, for example, I have a tech team in-house, but there is limited bandwidth, and sometimes we need to do things faster. We have some of the features of a product that I want to develop much faster, and hence let's say I'm looking for a partner. So the only thing that we practice so far is that we try to do the product definition in-house, so that we know, because see, we understand our customer the best, right? We have the pulse of the customer, and then we do small trials with 2-3 vendors, and then see with whom we are able to work the best, right? Because agenda being that the output should be very suitable for the customer, like Ninad pointed out. So sometimes you may have to do those experiments to identify the right partner for you.
Awesome. I thank both of you all, right? We have lots more to discuss and pick your brains from your experience, but in the interest of time, I will have to call it a day or afternoon for now. To sum up, if you remember doctor's presentation, the crux of it was, don't take anything at face value. The devil is in the detail, right? So that is one thing that also came out from both my panelists out here, right? And second thing, and most important thing, is that the whole digital transformation game is not something that is to be taken trivially. The amount of rigor and planning that goes in preparing for it will determine the success. And finally, technology will always have a solution, but carrying the whole team along, whether it's your team, the ecosystem partners, and more importantly, the end user in this particular journey, determines the success, right?
Absolutely.
I thank you very much. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone.